All right, the next thing we're going to go into is really starting position. We talked about placement of feet in the power zone. Now we're going to go into proper start position. It's called the hike pass position, and this is very important. I see a lot of people not starting the proper position with the kettlebell swing. We teach a lot of hard style kettlebell swings here, so I'll talk a little bit about that. We don't go over our heads. We put a lot of power into the kettlebell, a lot of force into the kettlebell. So Ben's going to demonstrate hike pass position. It's just like talking about football, somebody hiking the ball. That kettlebell is going to be out in front of you a little bit. You're going to have to reach for it to get a hold of it. The reason we want to do this is we're going to put him in a good position. His abs pulled in, nice and tight here. He has a stretched position, his hamstrings, his glutes. That's where he can develop a lot of force. So he's in a position to protect himself before he even picks up the kettlebell. Now from here, he's going to hike pass it and start swinging the kettlebell instantly. Go ahead and pop a couple times. There you go, do a couple swings, good. And then go ahead and set her down here and relax, and then good, perfect. When we teach this, the start of the swing, we always want to start with a hike pass position. That's going to be very important. We want to make sure that everybody's safe when they're doing the swing. We want to make sure they're starting with a good position. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into the swing itself. We're going to talk about a little bit of posture. We're going to have Ben do a couple swings, and I'm going to talk about the force. Again, we teach hard style, so we're not going to swing above our head. We're going to talk about pulling the kettlebell back down after you drive into it. So I'll let Ben demonstrate that, and I'll talk through it as he's doing the swings here. Let's go ahead and do 10 reps, and I'm going to talk through these. Pop it, good, good. You see how the bell comes up. Ben is pulling that bell back down to load his posterior chain. Okay, that's how we teach the swing. We want to be very explosive, pull back down. You should use your lats to pull it back down and swing it back up. When he's at the top, breathing pattern is he's exhaling, inhaling, exhaling at the top. And his posture, nice and tall, like we had a string from his head, we're pulling him up. We don't want him hunched over. That's good. I'll go ahead and sit her down. Because I'm going to have him stand up here. We want to make sure at the top of the swing that he's standing nice and tall. We always talk about if we had a string here, we're pulling him up. We don't want him crunched forward when he's at the top. We don't want him, his traps pulled over. We want a nice big chest, big, nice and tall. The bell's out. From here, act like he has a bell here. He's going to pull that bell back down with his lats. Back down. He's going to absorb that energy with his posterior chain. His back's in a good position. And he's going to transfer that energy back into the bell with a swing. So he develops a ton of force. And then back down, force, back down. One thing that I do see with some of the clients is they may not be forceful enough with the bell. And that's why we always talk about using a heavy enough bell. If they're not being forceful enough, there's a couple cues that we will do. We'll push a heavier bell on them. I'm going to have Ben do 5 swings, and I'm going to show you how much force that I can put into this bell. He can transfer it back out without putting himself in harm's way or injuring himself. So let's just do 5. After the first swing, I'm going to start putting some force in the bell here.
Sounds good.
So I'm throwing a lot of force back into that bell. Good. There you go. Good. And down. And he's able to transfer that energy without putting himself in a bad position. Go ahead and step out there in that position here. Another thing, I'll have you stand up. Another thing you want to look for when you're coaching is always we talk about a soft knee, having a soft knee. This is going to be a little bit different for every individual. We don't want a lock knee, so we don't want that, okay? He's not going to be able to keep this nice and soft and absorb that energy. So that's another cue to look for. And we don't want a really bent knee, okay? So it's kind of in between. I always call it a soft knee. You can go up and grab it like this if it's soft. It's where we want to be when we're doing that swing.